This mutation is called Call of the Void, and it is being played on Void Thrashing. We have two mutators active. We have Void Reanimators, and we have Void Rifts. This is definitely a mutation you should try to avoid. I think I'm done with my daily or my weekly pun for the weekly mutations. But you can see we have a couple of potentially familiar names if you do watch, or if you have watched every single Rock Slapping Champions episode. Both these players are Rock Slapping Champions submittees, and they have submitted a few of the Rock Slapping Champions episodes that have happened in the past, and they will be doing this weekly mutation. Now, $5 goes by many names. He goes by the name of Catsicle. On the normal Starcraft co-op communities, he is a Dehaka speedrunner. On my Discord, he goes by the name I'll Never Forgive Sanrio. And there is a huge story behind that, but let's just have a look at the Masteries, so I'll stop rambling for now. We see that we have the Zagara Energy Regeneration Mastery, Zergling Evasion Mastery, and then we have the Intensified Frenzy. And for Artanis, we have the Shield Overcharge, the Warp Speed, and the initial Spear of Dune Energy Mastery. So this is an interesting decision here. I think the Spear of Dune Energy Mastery was selected purely to deal with the early Void Rifts, which, speaking of which, have spawned right now. And you can see here, instantly one Void Rift pretty much gets cleaned out by Artanis, and Zagara's early game pressure is just really great anyway. So she already has a bunch of Zerglings that are going to be focusing down these Void Rifts. And you can see that one of the great values of having the Guardian Shell for Artanis is just having the ability to be able to evade these Zealots' attacks. And Zealots are pretty tanky units, considering their tier 1 units. They actually are reasonably tanky and can apply a lot of pressure in the early game, especially if you're playing someone like Zagara, who has really fragile Zerglings. So just having Artanis' Guardian Shield makes a huge difference to your Zergling survivability. And you can see also the advantage of going for the Zergling Evasion Mastery rather than the Baneling Damage Mastery, which is usually the mastery I like to play. You can see the Zagara has already captured her expansion. Hatchery already down as well. Hatchery will be completing. Zagara will be ready and good to go. We have double evolution chamber for Zagara, and Artanis is going up to, he's putting down another warp gate. The next set of Void Rifts are already out, and over here we have Artanis just making a beeline right for this Void Rift. Cleans that out with his orbital strikes. We have one random Marauder here. These Zerglings are having none of that Marauder, and now they will be clearing out this Void Rift too. And on the side, I think there was just one random Void Rift unit that had spawned, so that'll end up getting cleaned out. That one Zealot is causing a little bit of problems for Zagara's drones, and that one drone gets sliced up and diced into drone sushi. And this Void Rift is actually causing a few problems for Zagara, so Zagara might have to try and deal with this in just a bit. I know Artanis has seen that this Void Rift is causing some problems, but Zagara is just going to go and start attacking this Void Thrasher right now. And those Zerglings have finally been able to clean the units out from these Void Rifts. There are a few casualties, unfortunately, so one drone has gotten diced up, and now we have the Void Reanimators out here. And yes, these Void Reanimators will resurrect the units from the Void Rifts if you have killed them off. So one strategy that you can potentially do when you are dealing with this mutation is to take out the Void Rift before it spawns any units, so the Void Reanimators do not actually get a chance to res anything. You can see that one Zealot is going to get back to slicing and dicing these drones. So over here, there's a little bit of a slugfest, and now Zagara is going to go and try this Void Reanimator. It's just causing so many problems, and these things are absolutely deadly. Now, the other thing you can also do if you are dealing with Void Reanimators is you can try and do the path blocking trick. I released a video about it, I think a couple of weeks ago, two weeks ago maybe. There's a trick that you can use to block the pathing of Void Reanimators and actually trap them, so that they do not end up reaching their targets, and they just end up doing nothing. They just end up hanging out there. You can see just a few more orbital strikes, focus fire down onto that Void Reanimator, and the Void Reanimator has been cleaned down. And you can see Zagara now using her Frenzy, and with her army of Hunter Killers, and she's going to start clearing ahead. So what she's going to do is she's going to start clearing out the enemy camps, and Artanis is just going to go and just start deleting these Void Thrashers. So Zagara already now moving forward over here. We'll see what the plan is. It might be a very nice shot for a Baneling Barrage here. And there we go, there's a Baneling Barrage. Baneling Barrage instantly wipes out the Marauders. Now the one thing to note is that she does not have the Baneling Damage Mastery. And because she doesn't have the Baneling Damage Mastery, the Baneling Barrages are not as devastating as they can be if actually had that mastery, because Baneling Damage is actually effective. The Baneling Damage Mastery affects Zagara's Baneling Barrage, and you can just see just how quickly they're able to just completely wipe this out. You can see now the effects of a Void Reanimator is back. Mr. Void Reanimator has started to resurrect all the units that were killed out a little bit earlier in this camp. You can just see this trickle spawn, which can be absolutely deadly if you're not paying attention. And there we go, there is the culprit, and there's going to be a full scan onto this tank. And now we're waiting for Zagara to clean up that last Void Reanimator before bad things are going to happen to their base. Now, the one thing to also note about Void Reanimators is the speed of the reanimation. So you can see over here, the Void Reanimator is resurrecting the Marines, so it usually takes about 1 second to resurrect them. But for the higher tier units, say it wants to resurrect a Siege Tank or Goliath or Hybrid, then its resurrection time is a little bit longer. You'll notice here now, you can see its animation time was a little bit longer trying to resurrect that Siege Tank. So there is a difference in the timing that it takes to resurrect higher tier units. That's something else to also pay attention to. There is one Void Rift that has spawned in a very, very inaccessible location, but not inaccessible to Artanis. Artanis is going to use those orbital strikes very nicely to clean out that Void Rift, and those are all the Void Rifts that have been cleared on the map. Now, if this is your first time dealing with Void Rifts, the one thing to note about Void Rifts is that the Void Rifts will start to spawn units of higher tiers as time progresses throughout the course of the mission, if they are not dealt with. So, a Void Rift, when it first spawns, will just drop maybe a Marine, or maybe a Zergling, or maybe, a Marauder, but as time goes forth and you do not clear this Void Rift, it'll start dropping Banshees, and then Thors, and then really nasty units that you really do not want to deal with. So, always try and clear the Void Rifts as quickly as possible. You can see, this is why these players are actually clearing out these Void Rifts. It's very tempting to say, oh, I'm going to go for a full defensive build, and you can actually do that in certain circumstances, but it's usually always better to try and clear out these Void Rifts as quickly as possible. You can see Zagara here just completely cleaning out Imon's base, and whatever is left here of this camp as well, Zagara is going to be pushing in with Artanis on the back to just clear out this enemy camp, just to make sure that when or if a Void Rift spawns in this location, there's not going to be any resistance to their armies. You can see now there's a little bit of a trickle spawn. Again, there is going to be a Void Reanimator standing around here somewhere, and you can see that there is this Reanimator. So if you see there is a random trickle of units and you don't see any Void Rifts, there is a Reanimator and you need to go and find it. You can see now Zagara has pretty much ramped up to... She's gotten her Adrenal Glands upgrade, and she's basically gotten pretty much, I think, every upgrade that she actually needs. There is a Solar Bombardment, and a Roach drop, and a Hunter Killer, and a Frenzy that gets dropped now, and you can just see the damage increase of the armies here, and this is why Zagara is just absolutely insane. Her Frenzy just compounds so nicely with allied commanders' armies, and if you time it just right, that base basically stood no chance. It provided no resistance against either of those armies. And now you can see there's a bunch of Banshees over here as well. There might be a Void Reanimator that'll be spawning as well. Actually, there will not be a Void Reanimator, and this is probably also why they cleared it. Void Reanimators spawn from enemy structures on the mission. So, if you clear out all the enemy structures in a certain area, then Void Reanimators will not spawn in that area. And you can see this is also why they've also cleared this side out. So, Void Reanimators are only going to be spawning from this area at the back here and the base on the back side. And this means that every single Reanimator now that is going to be spawning will have to come down this ramp, and you can see that Zagara is going to be more than happy to just wait. Unfortunately, that is not the case with Void Rifts. Void Rifts will still be spawning pretty much anywhere they want, and in fact, as you clear enemy structures, it increases the number of areas that the Void Rifts can spawn, because Void Rifts cannot spawn in close proximity to enemy units and enemy structures. So, it is kind of a double-edged sword. You know, do you want to deal with the Reanimators and do you want to deal with the Void Rifts? I still think clearing out the enemy structures is the better strategy here, which is what these players have done. And now, again, Zagara, just a ton of Banelings and just a bunch of Zerglings with a Frenzy, and she's basically just walked through this dire base and completely wiped out everything there. And speaking of which, she also is pretty much really well on her macro as well. So she has one macro hatchery added and flowing only about 200 minerals right now, and those are all the Void Thrashers pretty much gone. This is the last Void Thrasher done, and this Void Thrasher is done in 14 minutes and 10 seconds. This mission is completed. That is pretty much the same time it takes me to clear this mission on a regular brutal difficulty game. But that is all the Void Thrashers cleared, that is Sergeant Hammer's Fortress saved, and that is GG.